It's me, Golden Blue Dude, here with you again. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I make videos every single day, sometimes multiple videos, depending on how active the day is or what kind of mood I'm in. So if you don't like this video, maybe you'll like one of my other videos. So today I'm going to explain why I ranked West Virginia number 4 in the Big 12. It's easy to guess and think you know what you're talking about, but I try to do actual resource, and I have sources that are familiar with the other teams in the Big 12, because it's not just how good West Virginia is, but it's also about what's going on at other teams. So today I am going to explain why I think West Virginia will be much better than last year and in the upper half of the Big 12. I still think that Oklahoma, Texas, and Iowa State are a notch above West Virginia. There's a little bit of a gap there, but still I have West Virginia at number 4. So really our biggest concern as a West Virginia fan is the offense. The defense should be fine. We have the Steele brothers coming back. We have that Tony Fields transfer from Arizona for nice depth. We have NFL talent at safety position. And yes, the Vic Koenning situation did hurt West Virginia a little bit, but Coach Brown also made a good decision as far as that goes. He has decided to go by defense by committee. Basically, there's going to be 2 co-defensive coordinators. It's going to be Jamil Aday. He's going to oversee the back of the defense, and then Jordan Leslie. He will oversee the front part of the defense, including continuing being the defensive line coach. So under that umbrella, you have 3 position coaches under that. We have Jeff Castile, who came back to West Virginia. West Virginia had massive success under Jeff Castile. 3 BCS bowl wins, 14 conference championships, and 15 bowl appearances. He came back to be in the booth, but head coach Neal Brown has decided to bring him back on the field as the outside linebacker coach. Along with him is Jeff Coons. He will be the inside linebackers coach, and then Dante Wright will be the safeties coach. So I think the defense is going to be just fine. Recruiting looks great. We got to flip Ja'Cory Hammett. We flipped him from Miami, a defensive end hybrid. To go along with him, we have the 4-star offensive lineman Wyatt Millam, 4-star running back Jalen Anderson, 4-star wide receiver Caden Prather, and then the higher end 3 stars, quarterback Garrett Green, quarterback Will Crowder, and then of course we have the transfer from Arizona. Some people thought probably the best transfer out here. So the defense, I think, will be fine. Everybody's big question is the offense. So I decided to do this video to kind of ease everybody's apprehension about it. So let's start out with quarterback. I think Jarret Doege will win the quarterback position. He only started 3 games last year. He was 2-1. And he's still ranked number 7 in the Big 12, in my opinion, as far as quarterback goes. And that's only with 3 games experience. We didn't see a big enough, sample to rate him any higher than 7. So the only reason he's at 7 is just because I didn't have a big enough sample size of him. He does have 2 years of eligibility left. He played 4 games and started 3. This guy is poised, he's clutch, and he's confident. And the biggest thing is he is a team leader. He threw for over 300 yards against Oklahoma State. He was the Big 12 newcomer of the week following that win at Kansas State. His season stats, he was 79 out of 120. That's 65.8%. Threw for 818 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. And that's only in 3 games. So quarterback position looking pretty solid. And I think the offensive line will be better as well, because you got to remember, these guys were recruited for pass protection and not run blocking, and that's why our running game was so bad, because they weren't really recruited for that. So let's go and look at Jarret Doege's targets, the wide receivers. We have an incoming freshman, Sam Brown. He's a 3-star wide receiver out of Bloomingdale, Georgia. He decommitted from Central Florida, so we flipped him. We also have a redshirt sophomore, Randy Fields Jr. He had limited action. He's a 3-star wide receiver. He chose West Virginia over Cincinnati, Pitt, Maryland, and Penn State. Last year, he only had 1 catch for 6 yards in limited action. Also, redshirt sophomore, Bryce Ford Wheaton. He started showing flashes of brilliance last year. He played in 11 games but only started 2. He had 12 catches for 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, including a 50-yard touchdown pass. Also, redshirt sophomore Sam James. I think he will be one of Doege's go-to receivers. He started all 12 games last year. 69 receptions for 677 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think he will be even better. Then we have sophomore Eli Jennings. Sorry, read that wrong. Eli Jennings. 19 catches, 192 yards, and 1 touchdown. Junior Sean Ryan played 8 games, started 6, 19 catches, 219 yards. Redshirt senior TJ Simmons. He will be one of the top receivers. Last year he played in 10 games, started 9, 35 catches for 455 yards and 4 touchdowns. We have an incoming freshman, Reese Smith, a 3-star out of Danville, Kentucky. He picked West Virginia over UAB, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Louisville. And a transfer from Louisville, redshirt senior Keon Wakefield. Last year he had 6 catches for 73 yards. He'll add some good depth. Freshman Devell Washington. Keep your eyes on this guy. He's only rated a 3 stars out of Bay City, Michigan, and he chose West Virginia over Iowa State, Purdue, Kentucky, Michigan State, Ohio State, and Michigan. So don't let that 3-star fool you. This guy is 6'4" and 215 pounds. He is a fast, physical receiver. Keep your eyes out for this guy. And then the next guy, also keep your eyes out. This guy has brilliance written all over him. Sophomore Winston Wright Jr. Now last year he only had 19 catches for 97 yards. Played in 10 games but only started 2. So look for those numbers to go way up. He also had a kickoff return against Baylor for a 95-yard touchdown. So wide receivers will get better, and they weren't our weakness. Let's go to our weakness, the running backs. Let's look at the running backs. We have a stable of running backs. Some of these names you will not recognize. We have a redshirt junior, TJ Pan, out of McMurray, Pennsylvania. He was Pennsylvania first-team running back. Hasn't seen much action, so I don't know about him. Freshman 3-star running back, Avarius Sparrow. He had 3,200 yards in his junior and senior years in high school. He had 12 games with multiple touchdowns, and he was rated the 73rd overall ranking in running back. He also played linebacker. I think he has some great potential. Senior Lorenzo Dorr, Fredericksburg, Virginia, 2 rushes for 9 yards, so not much with him. Redshirt freshman Tony Mathis Jr., 4 rushing attempts for 14 yards, 1 touchdown. Most of that was in the Texas Tech game. He will see a lot more action this year. And then our 2 main guys returning, Junior Alex Sinkfield, 17 rushes for only 41 yards, 2.4 yards a carry, no touchdowns. This guy is much better than those numbers. I expect them to be much better. I was very disappointed in his performance last year. And then, of course, junior Letty Brown, 107 rushes for only 367 yards, 3.4 yards a carry, and 1 touchdown. West Virginia was 129th out of 130 teams in rushing last year, only 73.3 yards per game. So that's our biggest concern. I do think it will get better. There's a lot of depth, and we do have our 2 main guys. Petaway is gone, but we do have Brown and Sinkfield coming back. So that's why I have West Virginia number 4. And combine that with the fact that Oklahoma State is only returning 1 offensive lineman. I had them at number 4. I bumped them down to 6 and West Virginia up to number 4. So Yeah, I think West Virginia will be much better this year. And let's look through their schedule real quick. If we get to play Eastern Kentucky, that will be a win. At Oklahoma State, originally I had that a loss. I'm switching that over to a win because of the offensive line of Oklahoma State. I know they have Chuba Hubbard and Spencer Sanders, and that offense is potentially explosive, but the defense is average at best, and that offensive line can be dominated by our defensive line. So I think that's actually a win now. And then a home game against Baylor, that's going to be a win. Matt Rule is gone. Dave Aranda, very unproven. I think it'll take a while for that to come together. And that's not because of Charlie Brewer, but that's a win. Home against Kansas, win. We will shut down Puka Williams and dominate Kansas at home. At Texas Tech, I think this is another game that flips over to a win. They are one of the most banged up teams in the Big 12. They do have Alan Bowman coming back, but he hasn't started in almost 2 years. So at Texas Tech, that will be a road win. Home against Kansas State, that will be a win. I don't think Kansas State will be quite as good as they were last year, or maybe right around as good as they were. Chris Kleiman is a great coach, but Skylar Thompson, I just don't trust him. So that's a win. At Texas, I think that will be a loss. Sam Ehlinger, love him or hate him, big mouth, bad attitude, great quarterback. So a road loss at Texas. Home against TCU, that's going to be a win. A lot of uncertainty at TCU. Whether Gary Patterson comes back or not, there's going to be a cloud of a gray cloud over that. Even I know the team is saying they back him, but that's still a bad look for TCU. That's a win for West Virginia. And then a home game against Oklahoma. I'm going to say a loss, but that could also be a win. But in order to prove me wrong, we have to do something that we haven't done in 8 years, and that's beat Oklahoma. So right now I'm going to say loss, but I'm saying possible win. And then Iowa State, that is definitely a loss. Brock Purdy and Iowa State is my Big 12 sleeper, so I think Iowa State could end up winning the Big 12. Not 100% sold on that, but I think it is definitely a possibility. So overall, if we don't get to play Eastern Kentucky, we will be 6-3. If we do get to play Eastern Kentucky, we will be 7-3. And according to all the other wins and losses, that puts West Virginia solidly in number 4. And there's a 2-game gap between the 4 and 3 spot, which I have Iowa State. I think they can either lose 1 or 2 games. And then Texas and Oklahoma. Those 3 will battle it out for Big 12 supremacy. West Virginia will have its solid notch in number 4, and then the rest behind West Virginia. And then with that recruiting class that's coming in 2021, I think West Virginia continues to build. But as far as for this year, West Virginia will take a major step forward, and I think we'll finish 4th in the Big 12. That's all I got for you today. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.